Houses, on average, are 42 years old in the United States, and consequently, they need a lot of maintenance and upkeep, and that helps drive lumber demand. So our repair and remodel business is doing quite well right now.
Joining me today is Eric Cremers, President and CEO of PotlatchDeltic Corporation. So Eric, PotlatchDeltic completed its merger with CatchMark Timber last September. Can you bring us up to date on the integration process and the benefits that you're seeing already?
Yeah, well, the integration is going exceptionally well, and I think of it on three different levels, three different fronts. First, operationally, we set a pro forma out to harvest 1.6 million tons per year. We're well on track to achieve that goal, that 1.6 million tons per year. Secondly, I would highlight the fact that we identified 16 million of CAD, or cash available for distribution, synergies when we did our due diligence work, and we're currently at a run rate of about $21 million per year of synergies, so we're well ahead of our plan in that regard. Our real estate business, the real estate opportunity with the CatchMark land is turning out to meet or exceed our expectations, so we're happy with the real estate plan. And then finally, I would say we picked up some exceptional talent when we merged with CatchMark. They only had 25 employees, and roughly 2/3 of them joined our team, and we picked up some wonderful talent from the acquisition.
And how has the company's timberlands, real estate, and wood products segments fared so far this year?
So I think the simplest way to describe it is that it's met our expectations. I think everybody recognizes the economic backdrop is not favorable to housing. We've seen a sharp increase in interest rates. It's made housing less affordable. So our expectation coming into the year was that housing was going to be on the weaker side, and hence lumber demand and log demand and prices for those products would be lower. And that has basically been what's happened. I will say that we've been pleasantly surprised that housing starts weren't even lower than where they're coming in at. We had expectations that they would go all the way down to 1.2 million starts per year, and they've been in the 1.3, 1.4 million range. So they've been better than what we expected. And the home builders have been saying favorable things about home building lately. So all in all, I'd say the year is playing out about as we expected at the start of the year.
Staying on the topic of housing, how do you view the outlook for housing, both in terms of new construction and repair remodel, and what does that mean for PotlatchDeltic?
Yeah, so housing is very important to PotlatchDeltic, and we think of housing really two different ways. First, the repair and remodel market segment, which is roughly 40% of lumber demand is driven by the repair and remodel market segment, and I would tell you that business segment is doing quite well right now. Volumes and demand are quite strong into that market segment, and I think there's a couple different reasons why. First of all, you've got home equity levels in the United States are at near record levels. There's a work from home trend that's taking place. People want to improve their houses because they're spending so much time in them. And then finally, houses on average are 42 years old in the United States, and consequently, they need a lot of maintenance and upkeep, and that helps drive lumber demand. So our repair and remodel business is doing quite well right now. So switching gears, talking about new residential construction, that drives about 35% of lumber demand. And while we have seen new residential construction take a step back this year to about 1.4 million starts per year, we think that's temporary. We've seen this rise in interest rates. Again, housing is less affordable. So we've seen demand fall off a little bit, but this is nothing like the great financial crisis when we went all the way down to like 600,000 starts per year. So right now we're in a little bit of a pullback period, again to 1.4 million, but we think as we get out into next year, as the Fed stops raising interest rates and perhaps even there's a Fed rate cut or two, we think new residential construction demand gets right back on track. We're right back to the 1.6 million unit level. And we think that's driven by several different factors. Number one, the U.S. is way underbuilt. A lot of people estimate we're underbuilt by somewhere between 2 and 4 million housing units, so that should help drive demand. We're at record levels of the millennial age cohort, people aged 30 to 35, and that's typically when somebody wants to move out of a multifamily unit and move into a single family unit. That should help drive demand. And then finally, existing home inventories for sale in the United States are at record low levels. So if you're somebody that wants to buy a house, you really have to look to the new market as opposed to the existing market to find that home. So longer term, we think we're in a really good position. Short term, there's some headwinds given the rapid rise in interest rates and declining affordability, but we think as we get back out into next year, things look quite favorable.